Hello everybody and welcome back to this month's update on the East Broadtop Railroad. So to start things off today, we are in a very dark Rock Hill furnace, and the reason for that is that we are going to be showcasing the new custom skybox that has been done for the route by me. And yeah, so let's unpause this. It is at 240 times speed, so bear in mind that this will not be as quick in real life. But in real life, the Sprout Tops day would have started out right about now, at about 5 a.m. Alright, so as you can see, we got some nice red hues to it. We'll kind of zoom out here to showcase what the hills kind of hide, but you got some nice reds, and as the sun starts to come up, they fade into nice oranges and stuff. And then as the sun comes up, you'll see it crest the hill here in a minute. And then we'll watch it should be right here when the sun does come up over the mountain. There it is, and then we'll watch the shadows there. And overall, I just think that's a really, really cool thing. So that is the custom skybox. We are going to showcase one more thing here. Alright, so this is at the end of the day. As you can see, we're starting into getting into some golden tints and stuff here. Some nice reflections off of everything. And it doesn't really do it justice in Rock Hill because of everything being kind of shaded. Like the sun goes down very early, but you get some really nice golden coloring with the rest of the route. So we're gonna unpause it, and then we're just gonna skip to like normal time. Alright, so moving on with the route. So the first thing you'll notice is that we got a new skin version of the Sprout Top 17 here. This is available in the switchback Trainz. They just dropped it like a week ago. It looks really nice. However, other than the showcase of this video, I don't think I'll be using it too much until I can fix the LOD on the tender here. The reason being, if I zoom out far enough, it turns into that, and that's very annoying to me. It's just annoying. There's no other way to put that. It's just very aggravating when you're running through a route and then all of a sudden you see this big ass tower of rivets. It's very annoying, but you know what? I really can't be picky. It is freeware. It's a very neat take on the model. It actually looks really nice for, being 12 years old. But alright, without further ado, let's run the engineer. I did put custom sounds into it, so it's no longer the bass sounds. They will be different for you, but it's stupidly easy to change the bell and the whistle on models like this, so. Alright, without further ado, we're gonna fast forward because nothing has really been done here. I just wanted to show the skybox, really. We will be fast forwarding through all the bits that haven't been changed, just for the sake of time. This route is very long, so that's why I'm fast forwarding through all of it. Alright, as you can see here, we do have a nice new and improved bridge here. So it wasn't just a single bridge, which is what it was before, so now it's double. So I like that. Looks pretty good. Yeah, that's about everything that's changed here. Let's hop back on board. While we're going through the fields here, I think I'm going to set the speed limit for the EBT at 20 miles an hour. I believe that it was rated for 25 if I'm not mistaken. However, I've never seen a video where they were going more than 20 miles an hour, so this is about top speed for the EBT mics. Other change that you'll notice, even though it's really not time like era appropriate, is the tractor's ear. I like the fact that it's tilling the landscape, and I'll probably end up having to remove it, but for now I like the way it looks. Up here there is one that looks more appropriate for the era. I'm not exactly sure, but it looks better. So, it's nice. This is what I'm talking about, by the way. It just looks absolutely horrendous. And once the locomotive gets close enough, it's fine, but until then it's just like this big box of disgustingness. Alright, so going up here to Shirleysburg, nothing has really changed other than I've added some grass and some details so it looks more than just like a plain building. And then you got a little bit of an Easter egg there with the bear pushing the cart. And then actually you got a really nice fire extinguisher here, which a lot of these are DLS assets, so I'm actually happy with the way it looked. Alright, skipping over to here, the graveyard has seen a rework, so now they are tilted and stuff. In real life, they look very dilapidated and not really maintained very well. And I tried to mimic that in Trainz the best I could, so you got some that are just plain old fell over, and then other ones that are in various states of disrepair, so I think it looks nice. And yeah, that's going to be the graveyard. Other than that, the fill was changed a little bit, so now it's not fits in a little bit more, and it's also lowered to the ground. I thought it was raised a little bit higher, but it's actually not, so that's what I got. Alright, skipping on here. So this over here to the right is probably going to be all swapped out for cornfields, because none of this was here, so just be aware of that. From a performance perspective, geez, it's going to be a very performance-intensive route, so I'm going to start minimizing details where I can. Alright, so we're coming up on the Tuscarora Oil Company. I don't really think I showcased this too much in the last video, so I'll showcase it in this one. So it does have a siding here. I'm not really sure of how the transloading process worked, but from what I can see from historic aerial photographs from like 1958, that's how it looked. There's probably more to it, but that's the earliest aerial that I could find, so I'll have to do more research on the Tuscarora Oil Company and find out how all of it worked, because I'm pretty sure all the tank cars on the line would end up here at some point. Alright, skipping on. We got more tractors over there. And then we do have a Ogwick, I don't know, 4.0 at this point, I forget honestly, but the road is connected now, so now it's not just an infinite car spawn. The water is raised a little bit to be more appropriate to where it is, and I added some more pond scum in here because I don't know, I just think it adds more to it. But other than that, that's pretty much it for Ogwick. This house here has seen a complete rework. Now it actually looks decent, so I like that. new stone walls, new custom grass, which by the way is pretty hard because of the slope of everything, but I finally got it to work. Alright, skipping on. So nothing has changed in here. Same old details as before. When we get up into here, this is where the real changes start. So from right about here onward was all base detailing in the last month's update, and since then this is where all the updates have really come into play since then. So yeah, let's dive into some of the details. So I used the colorful EBT book to try and get the best that I can on some of these shots. So when the route's released, wherever you see one of these cameramen is a photograph from that booklet. So if you look at the scene, it should be accurate to what you see. But alright, moving on. So this is the start of an Easter egg that I'm working on. I'm not going to showcase what it is, but when it's released you can, figure out what it is for yourself. One that I will spoil for you is down here because I just think it's awesome. It is the Oak Valley Plantation. It started out with a building right here released by Brogum on the Huntington shops, and I like the building so much that I wanted to do the whole plantation. So I went on Google Earth and figured out how it looked. And yeah, if you don't recognize it from the Oak Valley Plantation, it is the Braithwaite Manor from Red Dead Redemption 2. So if that gives you any hints as to what it is. But you got a nice little roundabout here with a waterfall, nice shrubs, and then off to the right and left you've got different, I guess, pine, shrubs or whatever. You got a nice little garden here, and it looks really nice. And then over here you got really nice pillar assets. And believe it or not, they're on the DLS, but they look really, really nice. I don't really know what it would be. It's like some fancy garden thing. I think it was used for like vines or something, but looks nice. And then over here you got another garden with custom hedges. That's the word I was looking for. And you got a nice little water fountain here, which looks really nice, and a pool along with a nice little house. And then additionally, down here you got more of the workers' houses. So I guess these would be for your workers that would work the fields. So pretty neat overall. So that is my Oak Valley Plantation. Alright, so moving back to the train. So I don't have to deal with that annoying tender anymore. Alright. We'll speed it up a little bit, I guess. But nothing's been done here other than, like, well, that's a lie, actually. All of this has been done. This is all base detailing, so the topography has changed. All of the grass has been added, the trees have been added. One thing to note with the route is that I realized that there are way too many trees along the trackside to what was actually there in the EBT era. However, it looks very boring with just grass, so I'm trying to make it the best that I can. Alright, moving on. As we get down into town here, we got another little Easter egg off to the left here. If you know what it is, then great. And if not, just looks like a really nice time-appropriate sign there. But there's your Nuka-Cola sign. Over here, it's more or less what it's going to look like. It's not completely done, but again, I'm trying to limit the amount of details that I'm using because this route's starting to really chug at this point. It's fine in driver, but when you go into surveyor, it starts to get a little bit clunky. Alright, so we are approaching one of my favorite scenes here. This is actually one of the very few videos, historic videos, that I can find on the East Broad Top that are in Mount Union. But right here, I'll pause it, because right about there is where the photo and the video is taken, but it shows the number 17 coming in 1956 with one of the last coal loads on the route. And it looked really, really cool. But, alright, moving on here. So now we're on dual gauge track. One thing I will note with the dual gauge track is before I was using, it still is, but I was using two different spline assets. Now it is just one narrow gauge spline and then one standard gauge rail spline, so now it doesn't look like the ties are doubled up anymore. Before it looked like there were two ties for every tie, and it looked really weird. Now it's nice and even. Alright, so this is the beginning of Allenport. Allenport is going to be a lot of this in the background. Mount Union and Allenport are just going to be detailed in the front two streets, and then in the rest it's going to be very bland. It'll look nice, but it's going to be a lot less detailed to conserve with route performance. But other than that, now we are getting into Mount Union, which means now I have to turn around the camera and showcase what has been done at Mount Union. Before I do that, I will say that I have I have commissioned buildings for for Mount Union. So with that being said, I introduce to you the Mount Union coal wash plant. Additionally, you'll see it in a minute, but the other very synonymous building with the East Broad Top in Mount Union, which is none other than the timber transfer. They are all in the game, and they look beautiful. And we'll just let the engine coast into the yard here. And then once we're in the yard, we'll zoom in a bit. First things first, we're gonna get rid of the engine here, just because it's very annoying. Alright, Shift F1. And then we'll move this into the yard so it's not on the main line. Alright, so alright, there we go. Brakes are applied. One of the things before I get into the yard and the custom assets, I've redone this yard like 25 times at this point. It's been a lot. I stopped keeping track. That's how many it's been. It's a very difficult yard to model. There's like practically nothing on how the operations worked in the yard, other than what I've had to figure out from bits and pieces. But basically it was pretty much a gravity-fed yard throughout, different bits and pieces of it. And so yeah, I've tried to mimic that the best I can. but it was different tiers. So these couple of tracks go up, and then these tracks stay level, and there's different weird levelings, and then somehow this track over here goes down into the narco plant. It's just very, very strange. The art in general. So I've tried to do it the best I can, but I think at this point it is the best that I can do with the limitations of Trainz. Alright, with that being said, I really don't want to talk about the art anymore, because no matter how many times I redo it, I'm still not happy with the way it turns out. I'm still not completely satisfied, but it is what it is at this point. Alright, moving on. What I am satisfied about is the Mount Union coal wash plant. I love this thing. A huge thanks to my buddy in Egypt named Mohammed. He did all these assets for me. I tried my best, but I'm not the best with Blender, so he really came in and saved the day. But this is the Mount Union coal wash plant. I will give you a brief rundown on how it worked. So engines would start over there and come through one of these two tracks and would dump their coal into this bin that you see here. And then these two concrete slabs that you see right here and here would take the coal up conveyors into the actual coal wash plant, which it would be floated in their chance process and then sorted, and all the coal would be put into standard gauge hoppers here, or narrow gauge hoppers, because there were customers that used the coal at points in the line. And then all the waste would come out in this thing right here and would either be taken over to the bony pile over here or somewhere else on the EBT. The bony was used mainly for fills, kind of like this, what you see here. It's probably all bony. But yeah, so that's that. And the thing that everybody's looking forward to, because you can't have an EBT route without it, I give to you the Mount Union East Broad Top Railroad Timber Transfer. This is the one building that I wasn't going to go without, and I think it looks absolutely amazing. Muhammad really outdid himself with this one. It just looks absolutely incredible. He even got the frickin' hoist. Like, it really is incredible. So, really, really big thanks to him for actually putting up with all my nonsense with creating these models. But I think they look really, really nice. It just, So, now you officially have an East Broad Top. It really does feel like that. Before it was like, eh. But now I can actually see this yard starting to come together. Third custom asset we'll get to in a minute. That's the water tower. But over here we have a new and improved North American refractories plant. This is about what it's going to look like. It's the closest I can get into Trainz, and I'm not going to custom asset. I'm not going to make a custom asset for it, so it is what it is at this point. But it looks okay, especially just for an industry that most people are probably going to bypass because they don't want to run it prototypically anyways. But so that's that. General refractories over here hasn't seen any updates. Here, this has seen some changes with the track work and stuff. I still have to put the unloader here for coal, but other than that, it's fine. Alright, third custom asset. That is the Mount Union Water Tower. This is actually a set of 3 made by Muhammad, and it is going to be the Mount Union Water Tower, and then it will be the Saltillo Water Tower and the Robertsdale Water Tower. They are already made. I just only have this one in the game right now. They look absolutely phenomenal. I love them. I will say, though, they are not functional. Me and Mohammed couldn't figure out a way to make it into a functional thing. Like, we got the animation bit down, but unfortunately, I don't know a way to... I would assume it has to be an industry at that point, and I'm not exactly sure how you take that and make it into an industry with the with the track that's changeable and all that. It's way beyond my range of knowledge. So for now, it is just this. But if anybody knows how to actually make them a legitimate thing, please let me know, because I will happily pay to have somebody do that. I do have the original files for it. So anyway, moving on. So we got a little bit more work in the yard here, but other than that, nothing really. Track work has remained the same, but there is one other major huge thing that has been done, and that is in part and in full due to a cooperation with another developer named Railwood Man. He is the creator of the Pitts to Philly route, which is on the DLS, and he has graciously allowed me to merge the EBT with a section of his route, which pertains to Mount Union, which in the grand scheme of things means that if this route wasn't laggy enough for you, you can merge it with his Pittsburgh to Philly route and potentially run East Broadtop coal that's loaded into standard gauge hoppers all the way to Pittsburgh or all the way to Philly. Now on this particular merger, it's just a section, as you can see here by the gray areas. However, if you so choose to do so, you can. The reason why I chose to merge the route rather than make my own was a couple. Mainly because we had been talking a while about Mount Union, how he didn't know what to do with this, and so then we got to talking, and I'm like, well, when I finish up with this, you can take a cut of my route and then throw it into yours. That way you got an East Broadtop yard and whatnot, which he agreed to, and it all started going from there. But so I did get permission, and yeah. So anyway, you got unfortunately with the merge, I did lose the Harbison Walker stuff that I had, but it's not really too big of a deal. I can always put that back in. But anyway, so you got your tracks here, which are 4 tracks, which converge into 2 tracks, which converge into 1 track, which merge with the Pennsylvania main line. And as you can see here, we got a fully modeled out Pennsylvania Railroad main line with switches and crosses and all that kind of stuff. You even got, even got Jack's Tower here, which looks really, really nice. And something I didn't know, but the EBT track that merges here, it goes pretty much all the way clear into Mapleton. Right here is where it merges up, so right before Mapleton. So pretty neat there. You would be able to merge it, so you could potentially run it out to something like Altoona or something like that, which might be fun. I think for the intensive purposes of my route, I'm probably going to have a loop built in so it just circles around. But that's just me. That's just going to be on my version. The version I release is just going to be just as it is right here. Now, I don't know how detailed I'm going to get on the Pennsylvania portion, seeing as how it's not really a Pennsylvania Railroad project. It's the EBT. But we'll see. Where detailing allows, I will do my best. But that's pretty much it for this video. A huge thank you to everybody that's contributed. So before I hop off, I will thank everybody. So thank you to Muhammad, otherwise known as Railroading D. You can find him on Fiverr. He does absolutely wonderful stuff, and I can't recommend him enough for if you want custom models for Trainz. He does a really, really good job. So huge thank you to Muhammad for his contributions to this project. Additionally, huge thank you to Josh from Trainz for actually letting me release this on his website, and not only that, but willing to help me out with the project, especially with the towns. So big thank you to him. Also, a thank you to Emmett for his continuance with the project, even though he really doesn't have to. And also a thank you to our newest member to the team, CB Rail. CB Rail was the other developer that was working on a separate East Broadtop than us, but unfortunately his computer crashed, and when it crashed, he lost everything on Trainz, including his East Broadtop route. So I felt bad, and we've been talking on and off since he first started the project. And so yeah, I invited him to the our dev team, so that way he can, not, kick himself in the ass too much for losing all of his stuff. So welcome to the project, CBRL. I hope that this route does it justice. So the plan for him is that he's going to help us finish up with the first phase of the route to Mount Union, and then he will do a spin-off of this route, which will be the modern day era for the East Broadtop. So in that case, it will go from the Colgate Y to Saltillo, and it'll evolve from there. So he's got some plans for it. I got some plans for it. We're gonna do a bunch of fictionals for the route. One of the fictionals would be if the East Broadtop had closed down in the early 1900s and the Pennsylvania Railroad decided to standard gauge the line. What might that have looked like? Which I think is an interesting take on it. So you'll be able to run standard gauge stuff. I know narrow gauge isn't really everybody's cup of tea, and I want this route to be something that everybody can enjoy. So I think that a standard gauge version would be pretty neat. Additionally, I do intend on doing a 30-inch narrow gauge version of the route. And the reasoning for why I'm going to do that is quite simply because I kind of want to run the Hatchet Creek stuff on it. I had thought about merging the route with the Hatchet Creek. I was trying to get into contact with somebody from Switchback to see if they would be interested in merging it, but the more I looked into how that would work, the more I realized that it wouldn't. So I just gave up. So I'm just going to change it to a 30-inch gauge and then say that it's a 30-inch railroad. So that might be something that I do, but that's all down the line. For now, timeline-wise, I would say with everything that's been done in the last month, really all we have to do now is the towns of Mount Union, detail a little bit of this, and then beta testing. So realistically, it really depends on how quickly the towns get done, but I would say I'm hoping for a release date of August would be my guess. So stay tuned. It is getting there. The project is almost done, believe it or not. Well, phase one, the project is not close to being done. If we zoom out here, this is everything that's been done since the new year. Is this portion right here, which is a lot. That's like 12 miles more or less. But when you zoom out to the grand scope of things, we still got like 20 miles to Robertsdale/Alvin, and then we got an additional 20 miles to go down to Neelyton, and then that's not even including the branches. I know Emmett really wants to do the Rocky Ridge branch line, and I really want to do the Joller branch line along with the Narco Spur. So it really comes down to what Trainz will allow us to do, because this route is already getting clunky in terms of size, and I don't know exactly how much detail we can throw into this route versus length. One thing I am going to try probably in the future update is replacing the trees. I do love this palette of trees that we picked out, but it's very dense and if you look in here, there's like bushes and stuff in here that don't really need to be here, and it's just a lot of extra processing power that doesn't necessarily need to be there. And it was fine when it was a small route, but now that it's becoming a bigger route, it's definitely starting to chug a little bit. So, but anyway, enough of my rants. Thank you so much for everybody that has contributed to this project. A huge thanks to the members of the EBT, the Friends of the East Broadtop, that have helped me along the way. There's so many of you that I can't even begin to thank all of you, but thank you everybody that helped me out with the tour, either at Robertsdale or the shops. Andy Van Syke, Lawrence B. Miller, I forget what his first name was, but something McFalls for the tour. Rob Pearson for his knowledge on the railroad, and a bunch of others. So thank you so much for everybody that's helped me out with this project. But that is it for this month's update, and I will see you guys in the next update. Hopefully we are a little bit closer to finishing. Bye.